Yo, how is it going, everybody? In our first duel today, we're going to be showing off 3 counter traps at once. This is going to be probably the craziest board you can make with this deck. It's going to look like the stun end board here. And I'm not going to fast forward this here because we are going for a different line. So this isn't going to be the normal super heavy stuff. We have an extender here, the curtain raiser. And I'm also not going to be getting any hand trap triggers at all. So the Wakaushi, I think, is the 5th summon here, and there's still nothing. So what we're going to be doing here is I'm just going to sack off the chronograph, and we're going to make the Nightmare Phoenix early. So this is for 2 purposes. First of all, we get to link off our Soul Piercer here, so we can bring it back again with our scales, so we get even more advantage. And it's also going to already commit the 2 bodies we need for the Orcust line into 1 body before we pen summon out all of our stuff and like start having end board pieces in the way of our combo and everything. So we're going to go ahead and pen out 3 dudes here. And we already have the Divine Strike. And I see here, since we already have the Phoenix, so that's already 2 bodies. And I'm going to go for a little bit of a cheesy line here where we keep the Zefra on field, so we get to actually use the 9 pillars as well. And instead of going for a Boral here or something, we are actually just going to go ahead and make a format Appaloosa. That's going to get us back a bit more advantage here, which we can use as a discard here for when we link off the Phoenix into the Mermaid and go into our full Orcust line here. Just as I've shown you guys in the last video already, pretty standard by now. We're gonna speed this up a little bit here, go for the Dingirsu to get that nice follow-up, and now we're gonna have that IP here, go for our Galatea back, make sure it's pointing to something, and that's gonna get us our 3rd counter trap. So looking at this, what do we have here? We have 4 disruptions on the Apo. IP is going to turn to the SP for that 1st banish, and that 2nd banish is going to be 2 disruptions off of the IP. So we're at 6, 7, 8, 9 for the counter traps, and 10 for the Ash Blossom that's in our hand. Remember, we are running quite a few more hand traps than we used to previously, so we have a chance at going 2nd. And this also helps us with our layered end board. Here I'm going to go ahead and Ash this, because I thought they have to chain the magical muskets, but it actually goes in the next chain link. If you read these, it says if a spell trap card is activated in this card's column, then the colon, blah, blah, blah. If it's worded like this, it actually means that it starts in the next chain. If it's something like Ash Blossom, here, when a card or effect is activated, this has to go on the same chain. But the if means it goes on the next chain. So don't make this mistake. If I paid more attention, I would have never ever hit the reasoning in muskets, because like, what are they even trying to get to the graveyard? So this is a big choke point. Of course, we're going to just delete that right off the game field, and they're going to Raigeki. Fortunately, we have that 3rd counter trap, so we can be fairly careless, and they have the Engraver in hand as well. But we're super fine here because that's just going to eat the 2 negates off of our Appaloosa. Good thing we made such a big one here, right? And we still have an Appaloosa negate and the SP double banish, so we still have 3 disruptions left over. Now we have a Wakaushi in our extra deck, but we only have 1 zone from the extra deck, so we're gonna go ahead and search a level 4 here. It's gonna be our Thubin, and put the Maxi on top just for fun. Go into an early Omni negate here, so we are protected from whatever this is. It might be a nib or something that they drew for turn, and we go for an access code with 6k, and our opponent is going to surrender. We have successfully vanquished Fiendsmith. All right, this replay, we're going to be showing off, again, another great use case of the Orcust line here, because we are going to be getting impermed on the Dark Worm here. Of course, it would be boring if we just get to a full combo every game. I think the charm of the game is playing through all of these disruptions. That's what makes it really fun. Unless they max you. That's just not fun because you just lose for free. But even stuff like Droll or Nib, still fun because you have like some back and forth going on. Yeah. Anyways, we get to save this here because we get to have the Zefra. That's the low and the high scale. Really awkward. Fun fact, by the way, Dark Worm plus Zefrath actually makes Beatrice. Pretty cute. Not let it really helps us in this format. But we're gonna go ahead, Electromite here, get that draw. Let's get a discard for our Orcust line. Go ahead, make that Nightmare Phoenix here. I don't know, just using this to get in the grave. I could have just pitched it right away so we have another Oracle there. It's just fodder here for our line. And again, make sure you sequence this correctly and use the Galatea at the end after you've revived it. That way you get to make all 3 disruptions with just 2 bodies here. And our opponent is playing Tearlaments, but you wouldn't know it because when they see our massive board here of the 4 disruptions plus they don't even know the 2 in hand, they're just going to go ahead and surrender right away. And once again, we have vanquished a tier 0 deck. Well, I mean, at least it used to be. It used to be. And for our final duel, we're going to be playing against Salamangreat here. Hand is kind of awkward, but it's still totally fine until they ash the Dragon Shrine. Now, it is still playable. Remember, this hand does trivially get to 2 bodies. We're going to go ahead and Astrograph here as our scale. Go for it, Electromite here. Now, I could pop the Astrograph, get it back, go for a draw or something. Maybe I find the normal summon. I can make an Apo. Not really sure. This hand doesn't really push disruption much further than this, and unfortunately we do get nibbed on the Phoenix, so maybe it would have been a better play to at least commit to our 5th summon to see if they have a toggle on there, and then I can choose to keep my Orcust access for another turn after like they nib me or something, right? But unfortunately, we don't get that far. Curtain Raiser is probably the best draw we can have in this game state because it does give me just a free special summon early on. Here, we're trying to bait our opponent by activating the Motorbike, threatening a, I don't know, a rank 4 or a Synchro 8 or something. But it's like, just might as well activate it, right? We don't lose anything by doing it. Maybe our opponent misplays. Nobody with the actual brain cells would hit this, but we are playing on Master Duel Ladder, so you never know. I decided to commit into the Beyond the Pendulum instead anyways. Baguska doesn't necessarily win for me. I'm assuming one of these is probably going to be like an Imperm or something, and then probably like a Salamangreat back row. Maybe Call by the Grave. I don't know. We'd have to see, right? Making Boral Savage here is just a losing play. Best case, they imperm it, I trade into the nib and I pass. Amazing. What a great, wonderful, beautiful turn. Or if they don't have anything, then I could have gone for a different play that just wins the game on the spot, right? And if it's something like a Droplets, I'm just completely screwed. So we go for Beyond. You might be thinking it would be a cute play to Zefrath, send the Thuban to the extra deck here so we get an additional pop, because remember, the scale will get reverted back to 5 once we resolve Beyond the Pendulum. But I don't think that Beyond the Pendulum will resolve in this game state, because there are 3 unknown cards in a Cybers deck that is known for running a lot of non-engine negates. So I was going to go ahead and use this, and they droplet it, which is fine. Unfortunately, we don't actually find lethal off this line, even if we do pen summon the Ash. So I am just going to be holding this in hand because I don't think I can kill them here. I want this to stop them from playing on the next turn. I'm going to go ahead and climb up into the Axis Code Talker here. Boost ourselves up, and we're going to pop that back row, and it was a solid back row. And in the main phase 2, I decide to sack my board off into an SP Little Knight. Now, why do I do this? First of all, they have 2 cards in hand, right? Because they're drawing 1 per turn. And the Salamangreat Roar will reset itself when they relink the any Salad card, right? So that's going to be really good for their grind game. I want to get rid of this. So we're going to SP banish this. And I don't think Ash is going to be good enough against a Cybers deck to just like stop it all on its own. Especially with no other disruption. They might have like some funky things going on. So I want the SP Little Knight for another just point of disruption. If I resolve this, I get 3 zones to pend out from the EMZ, and I just win for free, right? So they do have a special summon, and they have the Lady Debug, which will just add another dude. I'm thinking it's probably going to be like a Balinx or something, right? I haven't really read the new support cards. What I'm thinking is if I Ash this, they beat over SP, my follow-up is completely cooked. They could probably link this off into something and then like threaten some form of disruption. I'm kind of worried about that. So I'm going to actually SP this, guarantee my follow-up. And like, what are they going to do? They already spent their normal summon, right? So I don't really feel threatened by this at all. Unfortunately, the support did come with a Poplar, or maybe this card was even old. I don't know. He's going to special summon out the guy for free. And now I'm starting to get a little bit nervous with the heat that coming out here. I'm kind of afraid of him popping my entire board here. Go for this. And they're going to go ahead and make the Promethean Princess. And that's going to bring back a guy. And they go for Balinx. And I see them linking off. I see them start the animation to link off this one guy. And now I have to think quick on my feet. So what am I worried about? If they make a Pyro Phoenix here and relink it, they get to blow up my board. And my follow-up is kind of very mediocre because I will not have scales. I get to keep my Zefrath in scale, but I need to draw low scale. I'll have the SP on field, but if I try to do anything, I'll have the Promethean Princess in graveyard. So that doesn't really look good for me. So I'm just going to hope they don't actually play 2 Pyro Phoenixes here. And I'm assuming they're probably going to go for like some play with extenders like the Raging Phoenix. So I'm going to toggle off very quickly here and let them add this. And they probably find lethal if I don't have disruption here. But fortunately, we do have the Ash to negate the relink here, which adds any Salamangreat card. And this guarantees that I live, fortunately. And now they end their turn here. The stuff comes back. And it's important that you put the SP Little Knight in this zone here, because it gives me the 2 zones to the left and the right of it. As link zones where I can pen summon from the extra deck too. I still have an extra monster zone open, so I already have 3 zones to pen from the extra deck. Plus he's giving me a free zone with his arrow. So if I had the SP in the middle zone, the one under the right EMZ would have been like a shared zone, and I lose out on zones. Doesn't matter, I only have 2 targets, right? But that's something to be aware of in your grind states, or if the Zefrath was like a higher scale. They're going to prom. They have to target this guy, which is beautiful for me because I just get to SP both of the Promethean targets. Since they're not on the field, it doesn't get to pop anything and doesn't get to summon itself. And yeah, my Dark Room is just bigger, so I get to swing and I win this game as well. And here you can see the changes I've made since the last iteration here. I did cut the Cerberus because everybody's on so many hand traps right now. It gets stuck in the scale more often than I'd like. That really conflicts with super heavy stuff as well, because even though I can scale Wakaushi, I don't have many things that I can pen summon out, and that kind of sucks, right? Because I'm stuck between 4 and 8, so I can only pen out 5, 6, and 7s. It is very nice with the Cerb, but I don't think this is the build for it here. It's still great as a high scale and as an extender or like a free body as well, because we can summon out the Time Gazer here. I think that's still pretty nutty, even if the Time Gazer is not the best of draws. We have the Curtain Raiser just for some extra free special summon bodies. As you can see, it came up in that last game. So that's pretty good. And it also came up in games before that to help make bigger boards and everything if you lead with it. Very nice. We're also on more hand traps now. I've added in some of the Bestials. These are very nice because first off, they're just good against like all the dark and light stuff in the current meta here, like the Fiendsmiths. But they're also level 6, which is very nice, because if I have another awkward situation like Zefrath and a high scale, like Zefrath Wakaushi in scales, or Zefrath in scales, I can actually still pen summon these guys out and they help me with bodies. Magnuma also gets to search for Dark Worm or Destrudo. Here it is. So that's very nice. I definitely enjoyed this iteration a bit more. It felt a bit more consistent, a bit stronger. I had a bit better chance going second. And for my upcoming videos, I have to be on that grind, farming out some gems, because did you know that Fiendsmith Engraver plus a discard actually gets you to Wakaushi. That's pretty nice, isn't it? Remember, Wakaushi also gets you to Zefrath. Also, tracked, even without the big booba Lacrima, tracked plus either 2 discards or a normal summon and a discard actually gets you to, you guessed it, Wakaushi. So that's very nice. You even have ways of doing it without the, what's the link to called Requiem? Sequence, without the sequence. So very cool. Stay tuned for those as well. Like, comment, and subscribe if there's any other variants you would like to see, or if you just enjoyed my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.